So here we are, the big event. I'm sorry I can't be there, but you didn't think I'd leave that alone, would you? Well, no matter what, I still have something to say, and Lord knows I can be tough to silence even if I am 1,500 miles away. So first of all, let me just say happy birthday. So Diana, what's it like to turn 20? Again. Now I'm guessing you just muttered your favorite descriptive piece of terminology for me, which starts with an A and ends with a hole. To which I would usually reply, and in this case as well, yeah, but I'm good at it. I could also talk about how my wife was invited to be there tonight, and I was not, and elaborate to go on to talk even more about how certain people have been invited to do lots of things. But I guess we won't go there, will we? Suffice it to say that I wish I could be there with you all today on a special day, because special people deserve special days once in a while anyway, don't you think? So what makes Diana so special? Well, I suppose that depends on who you talk to. What you get is the privilege and honor of hearing why I think Diana is special, why she's special to me, and special to so many other people. I like to call it the Disney factor. On its face, this would imply that she's all sweetness and light, wishing for happy endings and all of that crap. Although that's part of Di, the bigger picture is much more comprehensive and complicated than that. Should I elaborate? Why, yes, Kevin, please, we're dying to hear it. Okay, I guess I will then. Fundamentally, Diana is basically the seven dwarves rolled into one person. This follows actually quite nicely with the overall Disney theme. Now, since I've never known Di to be particularly sneezy at any given time, however, we'll go ahead and replace Sneezy with a new dwarf, and we'll get to that dwarf later on. For now, let's talk about Di and the seven dwarves a little more in detail. First, let's meet Happy Dwarf. Luckily, we've seen much more of this dwarf really over the last several years. A loving husband and children have brought Happy out to the front quite a bit more and more as the years have gone by. Happy can also be seen at Gull Lake area eating establishments on or around the 4th of July. Happy's also usually in the presence of a Galliano Coke or two. Truly one of the more enjoyable of the seven dwarfs. We all look forward to seeing Happy much more in the future, and probably a little bit more later on this evening. Next comes a dwarf that I knew a long time ago. That would be Sleepy. Anybody who really knows Di well enough knows that Sleepy was a particularly common occurrence and a frequent visitor back in the late 1980s when those of us at the dispatch were not surprised really to see Di wander into work. Well, anywhere between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. Of course, staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning most of the time would turn anybody into Sleepy Dwarf. Nonetheless, Sleepy seems to have taken a little bit of a back seat in recent years, but we still know and appreciate Sleepy for what he was. Next comes Dopey. Out of concern for my personal health and well-being, I'll go ahead and leave that one alone for now. And we'll move on to Bashful. 2 words here. Yeah, right. The only reason this one's even on the list is because there's only one witness to Kevin and Di's wedding night. And Kevin, feel free to insert any comments you may have at this point. The next dwarf is really one of my favorites. That would be Doc. Need somebody to talk to? Need a shoulder? Got problems that need solving? Doc Di has always been there for many of us. A large and generous heart, coupled with a giving spirit, has made Doc a pillar to lean on for many of us over the years. If you needed someone to come pick you up when your car broke down, needed a loan, a VCR, short-term loan, long-term loan, or really just needed a backer and financing for a trip to Chicago, she was there. Always an open ear, an open heart, and a somewhat open mind, provided you play by the Disney rules. That's Doc. Okay, we're down to 2 dwarves. The last one is another one of my favorites, Grumpy. This individual seems to be cited less and less these days, but is still well known as one of the more prevalent members of the group of 7. Of course, in the old days, a phone call before 11 o'clock in the morning would almost certainly get Grumpy on the phone. It seems Grumpy would oftentimes accompany Doc on the missions of mercy as well. I guess this was to ensure that nobody would think our friend Di was a complete pushover. You know, Grumpy is still rather compassionate and understanding, just slightly annoyed most of the time. So, we really shouldn't confuse Grumpy with the seventh and newest member of the dwarves, an invention of mine, and that I'm sure you'll all learn to know and love like I do. And who is this lucky dwarf? Step on up, number 7. Number 7 would be Surly. That's Surly Dwarf. Now, Surly Dwarf is like Grumpy on steroids and caffeine. Unlike the other 6, Surly probably grew up in an ethnic neighborhood because there's a certain attitude about Surly. I think we've all seen Surly cock her head in that special way and tell you, I don't think so. Surly is also very capable, or at least was in her smoking days, of being able to tell virtually anyone to kiss her ass without even removing the cigarette from between her lips. I know we all have that mental picture, but it's not complete without those hands on the hips, now is it? I don't think you want to mess with this dwarf. You mess with Surly and you may draw back a stump. So what do you get when you mix all this together into one unique person? Well, very simply, you get Diana. Di is one of my greatest friends and has been for the last 16 years. Although time and distance have changed our relationship over the years and we don't see each other as much and lives are busier and all of that kind of stuff, Di's opinions still mean as much to me as any other person on this planet. She's been there for me countless times in a multitude of ways, and I am truly grateful for that. So with that in mind, again, I wish I could be there with everybody this evening. And I just want to say happy birthday to my friend, and God bless.